January 18th meeting of the Architectural Review Board. Ms. McDonald, would you call the roll, please?
Helps if I take the mute off, huh? Irma Johnson. Irma Johnson. No. Tom Midkiff.
Here.
Jennifer Oberlin. Kevin Breek.
Here.
Heidi Cross.
Here.
Brittany Sands.
Here.
Nicole Conkle.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Okay, our first item under new business tonight is the chairperson report and administrative approvals. So I'd like to go ahead and read the chair's report, if that's okay.
You want to do minute approval first?
Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Thank you, Ms. McDonald.
Nope, no problem.
Okay, has everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes? Are there any comments or edits requested to the minutes? If we hear a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Mr. Breek.
yes, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Sands.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now let's move on to the chairperson's report, if that's okay. We have 4 items this month, well, actually since October's meeting. So we've drafted a public letter of thanks to the Board of Commissioners and the city staff for their work on the African American context. We've drafted a letter of support to the National Park Service for the Frankfurt Oral History. And we have emailed the Board of Commissioners regarding the possibility of presenting our 2021 annual report to them, which they have accepted and should be scheduled for March or February or March. And just recently, I spoke briefly with representatives of Preservation Kentucky and Kentucky Trust for Historic Preservation, and the training that Ms. Johnson initiated is coming together. So the hopeful timeline is that a historic preservation class, and hopefully will be that the proposal is heard by the Kentucky Real Estate Commission in February. And if that proposal is approved, we might be able to schedule the class hopefully in April or May. And that's the end of the chair's report. Who this evening?
Hey, yeah, I can do that. All right. All right, so this is administrative approvals for the period covering November 9th, 2021 through January 10th, 2022 of this year. In the Central Business District at 238 West Main Street, exterior signage on the building for new business was proposed. That's at the old Subway location. There's a new business going in there called Sub Pub. In the Special Capital District at 736 Shelby Street, a freestanding sign that is 3.6 square feet and 75.5 inches tall was also approved by staff. 3 at 339, 341 East 4th Street, an interior renovation and foundation repair was approved. 4 at 510 Marshall Court, the rebuild of a 5-foot rock wall retaining wall in kind with the existing stone was also approved. 5 305 West 4th Street, interior renovation and foundation repair as well. 6 308 Steel Street, a 6-foot tall wooden privacy fence. 7 at 417 through 419 Steel Street, the replacement of shingles on an existing dormer that has a very low slope with a rubber cap and base system. in the Special Historic District 8, 103 Watson Court. They filed for a permit to extend the existing driveway, construct a 40-inch tall retaining wall. And 9 at 211 Wilkinson Street, they replaced the storm door.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Moving forward to the second item of new business, election of officers. Do we have a nomination for chair?
I would like to nominate Jennifer Oberlin for chair.
We have a second. Ms. Cross is providing a second. Thank you. All right. Mr. Logan, do I need to move forward with vice president or yield to Jen Oberlin?
No, we haven't voted that yet. We just know, it's my understanding.
Sorry. Once the vote,
Once the vote takes place, she can take over the meeting if you wish.
okay, great, thank you. Ms. McDonald, would you read the roll, please, for the Jen Oberlin as chair?
Mr. McKiff,
Yes.
Miss Oberlin,
Yes.
Miss Cross,
Yes.
Mr. Breek,
Yes.
Miss Sams,
Yes.
and Miss Conkle.
Yes,
Motion carries.
and I'll pass to you.
Thank you. And Nicole, I want to thank you for your service as chair. It's been a great year under your leadership. And I hope I can live up to the expectations you've set. So thank you. So now we are looking for nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Kevin Breek again.
And a second to that.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. And now we go to vote. And if the secretary could please read the roll.
Mr. McKiff,
Yes.
Miss Oberlin,
Yes.
Mr. Breek,
Yes.
Miss Cross,
Yes.
Miss Sams,
Yes.
and Miss Conkle.
Yes,
Motion carries.
And I believe those are the only positions that we need to discuss, correct? Okay. So thank you, Kevin. And now we'll move on to the third item on the agenda, which is the adoption of the 2022 Architectural Review Board meeting calendar. That was enclosed in our staff report, so I hope everybody got to review those dates and would accept a motion to accept the dates as proposed in the staff report.
I will make a motion to accept the dates as proposed in the staff report.
I'll second.
Right. So, Madam Secretary, if you want to call the roll.
Miss Oberlin,
Yes.
Mr. Midkiff,
Yes.
Mr. Breek,
Yes.
Miss Conkle,
yes,
Miss Sams,
Yes.
and Miss Conkle. I'm sorry, Miss Cross.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, great. So we're going to move on to the fourth item on the agenda, which is our first review, and I will ask the secretary to introduce the next item of business.
In accordance with Articles 4, 16, 17, and 19 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Washington Hospitality Group, LLC is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a 13-room hotel and small bar/restaurant for the property located at 300 Washington Street. They also request a certificate of appropriateness to modify the opening of a historic brick wall at the rear of the property, install a private rooftop deck of approximately 10 foot by 12 foot on the portion of the building connecting the main historic structure to the rear historic structure. Install railing and a new door opening for the deck and new adjacent HVAC equipment, and to install patio where grass currently exists in front of the building. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 061-24-07-006-00.
Thank you, Dawn. Vicki or Jordan, if the staff want to go ahead and do their report on this?
Yeah, sure. I'll go through the COA request first, and then I'll talk about the CUP if that's okay.
Yes, because they are two separate requests in our packet, correct?
Yes, that's correct. All right. Good evening, everyone. Jordan Miller, City of Frankfurt, Planning and Community Development. So the applicant is proposing some modifications to the exterior of the building in conjunction with preparing for a new use as a 13-room hotel and small restaurant bar on the first floor. This project is utilizing state and federal historic preservation tax credit program and has been coordinating with the SHPO as they develop the proposed work on the property. Most of this work is at this conjuncture, which includes restoration of the masonry, decorative metal elements, windows, doors, shutters, and entry portico, as well as replacement of membrane roofs, repair and potential replacement of gutters, installation of lighting, and the installation of a paved rear courtyard, which is not visible from the public right-of-way, can be administratively approved. The applicant is very amenable to working with staff on the details of this of that work. And as you're aware, tax credit projects must meet federal preservation standards as identified in the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, which are the basis of the guidelines for the special historic zone which this property is located in. As such, much of the work is already consistent with the recommended design treatments, and the applicant has previously replaced the existing to the main house and rebuilt the 2 brick chimneys on that portion of the building. They've worked with staff on getting that approved, and as they've completed it. This work met the SH design guideline and was approved. So there are only a few things in this proposal that require approval from the Architectural Review Board, and they are being proposed in coordination and consultation with the tax credit reviewers at the State Historic Preservation offices, in order not to jeopardize the historic preservation incentives that they're seeking with this project. If a proposed treatment is approved by the ARB but requires a change to receive the credit, it can be reevaluated by staff to see if it needs to come back to the Architectural Review Board. And I'll just go through here briefly a summary of the proposed work that's requiring approval from the board tonight. 1, a modification of the rear brick wall opening along the installation of a small rooftop deck on the portion of the building connecting to the main historic structure at the rear. This deck is 10 feet by 12 feet on a section of the roof that connects to the main brick structure, the secondary brick structure behind it. This connection is historic. It's shown on the 1890 Sanborn map, along with the other rear porches. That Sanborn map is attached within your staff report. It is framed rather than masonry construction like the main building, open to the interior yard at some time. I would like to point out that this proposed deck, however, it will be installed as a private amenity for one of the hotel rooms and not open to the full restaurant bar, just one of the rooms. 3, the installation of a new door opening to access the private deck. 4, installation of new HVAC units adjacent to the private deck. 5, installation of a patio where grass currently exists in front of the building. And those are the main points that that's coming for you tonight for the COA. I'll give you a brief description of this existing property. It's a large building, 2+ stories, with over 8,000 square feet on the first 2 floors. It was originally designed as a residence built in federal style around 1815, with an entrance on West Main Street. Later in the 1840s, it was remodeled into a Greek Revival style and expanded in size. And you can see the outline of that original federal house by looking at the portion of the foundation that is limestone on West Main Street. So the house is located and is a contributing property to the Corner and Celebrities National Register Historic District, which was listed in 1971 with national significance, I'd like to point out. It was also listed as a contributing property to the Central Frankfort National Register District in 2009. It's known as the Brown Swigert Taylor house and was so staff analysis. Staff finds that the applicant's requests are reasonable as they are proposed to be carried out in a way that meets the special historic design guidelines and will have a minimal visual impact on the historic building from the public right of way. The most visible impact is the enlargement of the wall opening at the long lane entrance to the parking area, but it is a reasonable request under the Secretary of Interior's rehabilitation standard, which is different from a preservation or restoration standard. The SOI rehabilitation standards are regulatory to receive historic preservation tax credits, and they are the basis for the special historic design guidelines. The enlargement of the opening will allow for better access for the parking area and for deliveries. And per the applicant, it has the preliminary approval of the Kentucky Heritage Council State Historic Preservation Office. The rooftop deck is small. It's only accessible to one of the hotel rooms and not to the public. Won't be visible from the right of way. It's a fairly easy alteration to reverse in the future, and the door opening is less reversible, but the location is not visible. And the applicant proposes to meet the high design standards of custom built materials to ensure a compatible match for both the door and the railing. The HVAC units will be screened to reduce their visibility and will be set back from the Main Street side of the building. The pavers at the front of the building proposed to replace the existing grass are likewise a reversible condition. The existing grass sits up high because of the retaining wall and is less visible than a traditional lawn. But the existing character of the Corner and Celebrities neighborhood includes a variety of approaches regarding front landscaping. There are adjacent buildings designed for residential use all around 300 Washington that have extensive hardscaping very close to the front entrance, including sidewalks. Staff does not find this change to be out of character with the district. So based on that information in the application and staff's evaluation, we did have 6 suggested findings of fact, 5 of your staff report, and we also, if the ARB were to recommend approval of this certificate of appropriateness, we do also have 4 conditions of approval listed on page 5 of your report as well. Okay, and I also, did have a citizen comment. Would you like me to read that now or wait till the?
Yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
Okay, I'll go ahead right here, so I'll go ahead and read it. I did speak with this person today, and they asked that I read their letter to you all. So it says, to the Frankfort Architectural Review Board regarding 300 Washington Street. I noticed the sign in front of the historic Brown Swigert Taylor House on Washington Street regarding today's review by the ARB of plans to convert this property into what appears to be a boutique hotel. This would be an excellent use for this property, and I'm writing in support of those plans. First, from an economic standpoint, this is just the type of business that is needed in downtown Frankfort. It would accommodate upscale visitors to Frankfort that have the disposable income to help support our downtown restaurants, shops, museums, and the Grand Theater. Second, from a historic preservation standpoint, the plans by these owners will help restore and thereby preserve, this very significant historical property. On all of our historic properties, there is a risk that by being overly demanding of the property owner, we will discourage investment in these great buildings. This result can be that the owners abandon their plans and the building continues to suffer further from the ravages of time and the elements until there is nothing left to preserve. I attended the ARB meeting a couple years ago when the Hayes family brought forward a similar proposal for the Brown Swigert Taylor House. I think that meeting should have gone better. The ARB has an important role to perform on this type of project. But personally, I felt that some of the questions that were outside of the scope of architecture were disrespectful to the Hayes family. Please let planning and zoning handle subjects like traffic flow, parking, and noise issues. And please restrict architecture review board discussion to issues dealing with the architecture. Thank you for this opportunity to submit my comments, and thank you for your time and attention. Richard Rosen, 417 Wapping Street, Frankfort, Kentucky. That was one comment, and I also received another comment that I spoke with a gentleman last week that I discussed during the Planning Commission meeting regarding the waiver. It was a gentleman representing the Methodist church that's adjacent to this property, and he had concerns about the volume and quantity of vehicles, parking, traffic, etc., from the restaurant. They didn't have any issues with the hotel, just the restaurant per se. So I would like to also say that during that meeting, the Planning Commission did approve the waiver request as well. All right, so that was a COA there. So the conditional use permit request.
Yeah.
And Jordan, I just want to check with Mr.
Sure.
Logan.
Okay.
Do we need to do these separately, Mr. Logan, or can we do them together, or?
Madam Chair, you may make a motion to combine the two items and consider them together. Or you can proceed individually if the chair so.
Since it came in two separate packets, guys, and you know, a combined motion might be a mouthful, can we separate them out, Jordan? Is that okay? All right, so I think if we'll just act on this COA individually, and then we'll come back to the conditional use permit. Thank you, Jordan, for the staff report, public comments. I want to make sure the applicant is present.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And I want to make sure that the applicant has reviewed the staff write-up for the certificate of appropriateness, and that you are okay with all that the report contains.
Yes, I am.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, could we identify them for purposes of the record, please?
Oh, great point, thank you. So could the applicant please state their name and address?
My name's Tyler Bromagen, 2128 Leafland Place, Lexington, Kentucky.
Thank you. Are there any other applicants present, or just you, Mr. Bromagen?
I'm here as well.
Could you please state your name and address for the staff report?
Yes, I'm Rebecca Burnworth. I'm their architect. I own Burnworth Design, 414 Plunkett Street, Lexington, Kentucky, 40508. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now that we've done that, want to make sure you guys have received a copy of the staff report and that you agree with all the comments and findings.
Yes, I do. Thank you. And Amber LeGroux is also here. She's also an owner.
Oh, okay. Ms. LeGroux, can you please state your name for the record and address, please?
Amber LeGroux, I'm a project manager. It's 689 Sarah Blake Lane, for Sales, Kentucky.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Is that everybody?
There's one more. My name's Tim Deschler, Deschler. I live at 113 Hamilton Park in Lexington, Kentucky.
Thank you. Okay, so now that we're all here, thank you all for attending the meeting, and I'm going to try one more time to make sure that you each received a copy of the report and you agree with the staff suggestions, findings of fact that appear in the report.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is that good, Madam Secretary? I think that was all of them.
Yeah, you mentioned the findings. I wanted to make sure that they agree with the conditions as well, if we could make sure that is part of that.
Okay. And the conditions as well, guys. Sorry, this is my first meeting I'm leading, so a little rusty.
Yes.
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 Okay, great, thank you. And is there anything that you guys would like to let the board know or have comments to the board about for the certificate of appropriateness?
I just wanted to let the let staff know we're excited to work with them to work out the final details, and I'm sure we'll come to an agreement. Thank you.
Any other comments from the applicant?
No, ma'am.
No.
All right. If not, then I will be accepting any motions.
Madam Chair, anyone waiting in the conferencing room to testify in this matter?
Oh, good point. Thank you.
No, sir.
Thank you.
No comments for this matter, other than the ones received by staff and read.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Cross.
let me attempt to do this. I would move based on the staff report and the findings listed therein on page 5. And with the conditions, the 4 conditions also listed on page 5 of staff's report, that we approved the request for a certificate of appropriateness to modify the opening of a historic brick wall at the rear of the property at 300 Washington Street to install a private rooftop deck of approximately 10 by 12 on the portion of the building that connects the main historic structure to the rear historic structure, to install a railing and a new door opening for deck and a new adjacent HVAC equipment, and install currently exist in front of the building. I think that's it.
Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
And that was Tom Midkiff. Thank you, Tom. And if the secretary could call the roll.
Ms. Conkle,
Yes.
Mr. Midkiff,
Yes.
Mr. Breek,
Yes.
Ms. Cross,
Yes.
Ms. Sams,
Yes.
and Ms. Oberlin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great. So now we'll move on to the conditional use permit. I'm not sure if Jordan or Vicky from staff are going to present on this.
Sure. Yeah, I'll present. So this is for the conditional use for a hotel, 13 rooms. Hotels are conditional use within the special historic zoning district. So it's on a 15,000 square foot lot located at the northern intersection of West Main and Washington Street. It also has frontage along Long Lane at the west property line. It's located 1 block away from the downtown Central Business Center district, and the property is surrounded by a mixture of uses from commercial and offices, residential, mixed use, churches, and it's currently vacant. It's been vacant for a couple of years, and it's last used and occupied for the offices of the Kentucky Heritage Council, or state historic preservation offices, who moved over to High Street. The applicants acquired the property in 2021, last year, and are proposing to operate a 13-room boutique hotel with a restaurant bar on the first floor. Hotels and restaurants, both separately, are conditional uses within the SH zoning district. A couple of years ago, this board in 2019 approved 2 separate conditional uses to operate a restaurant and hotel at this property. So I'm not going to go through the property description of the building and everything because it's what I described a minute ago in the COA. But I would like to just go to staff analysis. We find that it's permissible in the special historic zone, provided that stipulations in 4.06.34 are met. On Thursday, January the 13th, last Thursday, the applicant was approved for a waiver by the Planning Commission regarding sections E and F of that article in order to allow the restaurant and bar to serve customers that are not guests of the hotel as well as guests of the hotel. That passed 7-3 last Thursday. So we find it's compatible in concept with the requirements of the zoning regulations. Sections 4.403, 12.012, and 19.01 and the following suggested facts. The proposed use complies with the purpose and intent of the Special Historic District. 2, the proposed use is consistent with the goals and policies of the downtown mixed-use district in which the property is located, as identified and described in the Franklin County Comprehensive Plan. 3, the proposal will reuse an existing historic structure that will be contained to the existing footprint of the building. 4, open space and parking requirements are met that are listed, the parking requirements specifically in Article 12 of the zoning regulations. And 5, the Planning Commission traffic engineer has reviewed the request and has no traffic concerns with the proposal. So following that, we are recommending suggesting approval to the board with a few conditions as listed on page 3 and 4 of your staff report. There are 7 of them. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. I didn't have all the comments I had, I discussed earlier with the COA. So I'd like to also submit those in conjunction with this request.
Perfect. Thank you, Jordan.
You're welcome.
I want to make sure the applicants have received the staff packet on the conditional use permit and have reviewed these staff suggestions and conditions and are in agreement with those.
Yes.
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 Okay, great. And give you guys an opportunity if you want to make any comments on this proposal. I'm gonna take that as a no. Correct me if I'm wrong. And just to confirm, we don't have anybody from the public that would like to comment at this time? No? Great. Then I will entertain a motion.
Okay.
Thank you, Patty.
Yay. Okay, based on the staff's report, and with the 7 conditions on pages 3 and 4 of staff's report, I would move for the approval of a conditional use permit to operate a 13-room hotel and small bar restaurant for the property located at 300 Washington Street.
I'll second. This is Nicole.
Madam Secretary, if you'll call the roll.
Ms. Conkle,
Yes.
Mr. Midkiff,
Yes.
Mr. Breek,
Yes.
Ms. Sam,
Yes.
Ms. Cross,
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great. And we want to say thank you to you all. Going to bring new life to the property. We're excited about it.
Thank you. Thanks for your consideration. Got
Thank
some
you.
great,
Thank you very
great
much.
here.
Thank you.
Good. We will now move on to the agenda item number 5, citizen comments.
I had not received any other than was involved with the case at 300 Washington Street.
Okay, so those were for the report. I wasn't sure if it was just something in general. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. No problem.
Moving on to item number 6, it is the discussion of choosing a date for our 2022 work session. I know, and Vicky, feel free to unmute and jump in at any point. Vicky sent an email, I think sometime today. Hopefully members of the board got to review that email, and she proposed some tentative dates based on her sleuthing of everybody's calendars and other boards and commissions that meet, that sort of thing. So want to make sure everybody got to see that and feels comfortable with moving forward with maybe proposing the first date she suggested, Wednesday, February 9th, for that 2022 work session.
I guess the most important thing is whether Ed's available, because he's the
Yes.
first one on the agenda.
Yes, no, that would be fine with me. Yeah,
Okay.
I was reading, not able to do it on the 11th. I sanity on doing order on a Saturday. So I think we need to stick with it. Okay.
Okay.
And I don't think we need to, we just want a motion to adopt that date. And I don't know if you have suggestions for time frame, Vicky?
Well, I mean, I would suggest to keep it at our usual 5 o'clock time if that works for everybody.
Fine with me.
Go ahead.
That's fine with me, Vicky.
Okay. And with regard to the items on the agenda, that's just a tentative list. You know, you may want to talk about adding anything you feel I haven't covered there.
Does anybody have any agenda items that they want to suggest? How bad that Irma's not with us. Reach out to her.
Well, for the 2022 work session, don't we need to get a new work plan for 2022?
Yeah, I have that as item 3 on that tentative agenda, development of the 2022 work plan, including any subcommittee assignments, which of course a subcommittee for this group is just 1 or 2 people at the most. Did you all get a chance to read this? Did you want me to go through it? Or?
Yeah, please go through it, Vicky.
Okay, so staff suggestion for a draft agenda for our work session in February 2022 includes Ed's presentation, kind of a refresher on Robert's rules, and I thought maybe we could discuss making motion language. Number 2, staff would like to give you all a presentation that recaps the historic preservation accomplishments in 2021 relative to the work plan that you all adopted. See where we are with that. Number 3, the development of the 2022 work plan, including subcommittee assignments if needed. Number 4, recommendations for CLG grant projects. The application date for CLG grants is March 4th. Staff is meeting tomorrow, the 19th, to kind of have an internal discussion about the projects we feel are the most worthwhile and would recommend. And we would like to bring those recommendations to you for your consideration so that we have your endorsement.
I think she's off.
Can't hear me?
I can now. You trailed off at the end with endorsement.
Maybe I need to just speak closer to my computer. Is that better?
Yeah.
You can hear me now. Okay. I don't know where I cut off before, but what I was saying is we are having an internal meeting tomorrow about potential CLG grant funded historic preservation projects for 2022. And we would like to bring our recommendations to you for your endorsement before we take them to the Board of Commissioners at their February work session. So that's item 4. Item 5, we're working on putting together the certified local government annual report right now. So we'd like to give you a little overview of that. And then number 6, this is kind of a new thing, but it's something that the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions recommends for commissions to do. We'd like to bring you a few of the cases that you reviewed in the past 12 to 18 months. And for those that are finished, maybe bring them to you so you can review the final product and see if you felt like your decision making was on target and whether it meets the intent of our historic preservation ordinance. Just kind of a review of where we've been and where we're going might be helpful, especially as there is a process underway right now to rewrite our design guidelines. So thought that would be good. But of course, if you all have any other suggestions for things we should talk about at the work session, we can add those tonight.
Vicky, if you don't mind, I'm probably going to want to add probably additional items such as ex parte communication, findings of fact, those kind of things.
Okay. Okay, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad you're willing to do that.
I don't know we have to advertise that. I think we can just do a work session in regard to Robert's rules and other items that make.
Other items.
There's just a couple of things. It won't take a long time, but I'd like to talk about.
Absolutely. Okay.
I got a question. So is this going to be, are we going to have 2 meetings or just one in February?
This would be a first of 2 meetings. You'll have your regular ARB meeting, which I believe is on the 15th.
Yes.
At this point, I'm not sure how many applications we have in the works. I think maybe that could change, of course. So this would be in addition to that meeting, the week prior on the prior Wednesday.
Okay, that's was my question, because if we were doing a full meeting with that, it seems like a lot. So that's better.
Vicki, I have a question.
Sure.
The closeness of that meeting and the packets going out for the regular meeting, when will you all want the minutes from the work session? Will you want them that quick for the actual February meeting? Or will you be able to present those at the March meeting?
I would think we'd be able to present it at the March meeting with the ARB meeting minutes.
Just wanted to be sure.
Do you agree, Ed? That seems reasonable to me.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Is there any more discussion on the work session, or do we just want to move towards a motion to adopt the work session for Wednesday, February 9th at 5 p.m.?
We also need to discuss whether or not that's going to be in person or virtual, as per Vicky's email earlier.
Right. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you. I know it's all up in the air right now, and I don't know what y'all feel comfortable with.
Anybody want to weigh in? I see Nicole's got her hand up. Go ahead.
I think with everything going on, it might be best to schedule it virtually, although I prefer to do meetings in person. I think it would just be easier to go ahead and plan for it to be virtual. That way, no matter what, we know we won't have to change the format at the last minute, depending on what happens. That being said, I'm happy to do whatever, but that's just my 2 cents on the virtual meeting.
Do others want to weigh in? I think
it should be virtual too.
Thank you, Brittany. I think then we'll propose that it be a virtual meeting.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I think it's also important that we note to individuals when we send out the notice, this is a work session. This is not for public testimony or taking and weighing of evidence. So that folks know that this is not just going to be something they get on and talk about everything they want to talk about. It's going to be a work session for the board members.
Perfect. And I don't even recall having a public comment period last year, right? I mean,
We did not, but I take certain since we're covering several topics, including plans, opinions that we once did, and training at the same time, that they don't think that's another reason to add item 5 to the agenda, which is their public comment.
okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Does somebody want to make a motion to adopt that date and time?
I'll make a motion to adopt the meeting for February 9th at 5 o'clock.
Yes, and in which staff can send us a link.
I'll second that motion.
Madam Secretary, do you want to call the roll?
Ms. Conway,
Yes.
Mr. Breek,
Yes.
Mr. Midkiff,
Yes.
Ms. Sams,
Yes.
Ms. Cross,
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Just want to say I look forward to this year, guys. Bear with me. I'm glad that I'm going to get Mr. Logan doing a Robert's Rules orientation for me next month. I'm looking forward to that.
Jen, you absolutely don't need it, and I know that, but we'll get it anyway.
Thank you. And now I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
You get who that was, Dawn?
No, I did not. Did you?
No, I did not. I heard a female voice. I do know
I
that.
think- I think that Mr. Midkiff and I did it at the same time. I'll let him have that second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right.